Excuse me, sometimes things kind of go together, even if you don't plan them. You know, they're singing that song about light, no more darkness. The word today is darkness. I'll tell you how I got on that and read you a little bit. Has been a good year. Tom Brown does two really significant things in our community. He runs the Day-O Clinic, which is a free medical clinic. And he also brings great music to our community. Tom, when's the next concert for us? Yeah. It's only January, okay, so skip a while. But we appreciate what he does. We really appreciate what all you do. I was kidding about Don Cope, and the Cope family's always been special to me. Your dad never would give me anything, but your mom would give me a free ice cream. I was always intrigued with Don and his brother Larry because they were, they're two tough hombres. And, so I used to go by and talk to Don, and so Don, we're glad to hear you. Of course, all of it. Every time I see Gene Tibbs, just a little tidbit. It was 1973 when Gene came to know the Lord, and it's when I came to know the Lord. About almost right in there at the same time. And so there was a lot of darkness expelled that summer, from Gene and from there. Now, this word darkness, let me tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll tell you why I got on it. And you may not think that's a very uplifting word, but stay with me a little bit, and I think you'll see. It's interesting, darkness has 7 definitions. First thing you need to know about darkness is a noun. So darkness is an entity, it's a place. Dark is in darkness, but darkness is something, it exists, it's a state of being, it's a place. Usually darkness has a negative connotation. I think somebody said, every time you find darkness in the Bible, it is negative, not positive in its essence. But then there are some positive statements around darkness. So let me give you a little bit of the definition. And remember this. The whole point of what I do is to take one word and get to the word. So where we want to get it is what's Jesus got to do with darkness? How does the definition of darkness find its home in Jesus Christ? So that's what we're looking at. And I think we can get there. So just stay with me. My buddy Randy Mostel's in the back, and he's got the clock on me, and so I'm going to get there, Randy, as quick as I can. All right?
Hurry up.
I know you got to go back to Murray County, so I'm going to do it. Here's the definitions, and of course some of them are pretty, probably all of them are pretty obvious. Darkness is the partial or total absence of light. Darkness is the partial, total absence of light. Darkness, in another sense, is everything that is anti-God or not from God. God is light, and in Him is what? No darkness at all. So anything that where you find darkness in the moral sense, then that doesn't have to do with God. Darkness means wickedness, evil, anything that's not of God. Also, darkness is the lack of information or knowledge. You ever heard the phrase, man, I got kept in the dark on that one? That means you weren't in on the need-to-know basis. You're in the darkness when it comes to a particular subject or situation. Also, we know that darkness has to do with secrecy. Jesus told his disciples, what I say to you in the dark, what's he saying? There's a place that is kind of a hidden. In fact, you know what the Greek word for darkness is? It's where we get the word tent. Because darkness basically means to cover. It's a covering. If you're in the darkness, then there's the light is blocked out. It's covered. So secrecy also means judgment and death. Jesus talked about being cast into the outer darkness. Doesn't sound like a place you want to go. It says in the Bible that the fallen angels are kept in chains of darkness. So darkness represents judgment, death. It also just, in a sense, it means not light in color. You say, all right, what color hair they had? Well, it was dark. And so, a few definitions. Now, just quick. You can make darkness. You ever heard somebody say, man, they put a damper on it? All of a sudden, the kind of the darkness and the gloominess of a mood, that's why we have dimmer switches. You can dim the lights. That's why we have switches. We could cut out the lights in here, and we would have a partial darkness. Darkness can just come upon you. You can walk in the darkness. Your mind can be darkened by evil. You see, isn't it interesting? In certain areas of life, we seem to get darker and darker and darker. And the longer you stay away from God, the longer you live out of your self-will, the longer you go away from the light, then it just gets darker and darker and darker. And Paul says, Romans 1, their minds were darkened. Here's an interesting one. And this is really significant. You know what the Bible says about us, about people? He says, you were once darkness. That may be one to swallow, but it doesn't say that we were just in the dark. It says we were the dark. Donna used to talk about, you don't need to run around with so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. And it just happened that my name got attached to so-and-so. And so, if you're darkness, then, most people want, stay away from that guy. But Paul said, ye were once darkness. So you can be the darkness. Right after John 3:16, you know what it says? Men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds are evil. A lot of wickedness done when it's dark at night. Men love darkness. Man, darkness is not something that you would want to love. Why in the world would we love darkness? But that's why God sent His Son into this world, because men love darkness rather than light. It also says this, that darkness, that's Granny.
Sorry, I'm just trained at Garnell.
Yeah, they're in the dark up here, Granny. Go ahead. And you need to be reminded, darkness is not co-equal with light. Light is greater than darkness. Light is what expels darkness and gets rid of darkness. They can't coexist. Where light is, there's not going to be any darkness. John wrote, he said, what fellowship can light have with darkness? It says this, and this is a real, kind of wake-up call. He who hates his brother is still in the darkness. So without, if you get out of love, you've just gotten into the darkness, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Isaiah said another thing. It's just wild. He said, things have gotten so screwed up. He said, men call darkness light and light darkness. many times have we convinced ourselves that something was right, and we really knew it was wrong? But it makes you feel better if you call wrong right and right wrong, you know. If you call light dark, you know. So we do all that. We have a relationship to darkness. What's your relationship to darkness? We all have one. Now here's the good news. Randy, we're getting close to Jesus. Now we're at the gospel, so we're knocking on the door. You know what the good news of the gospel is? It said that Jesus came to give light to them who sit in darkness. You ever sat in darkness? You know what's in darkness? Here's how I got on this. I read the thing, Don, about a British explorer, and his name's Ernest Shackleton. Listen to what he says. In 1914, British explorer Ernest Shackleton and his crew took a ship to Antarctica. Their plan was to land, walk across Antarctica, cross over the South Pole, continue all the way across. The plan had to be abandoned, though, because their ship, the Endurance, got caught in polar ice and was crushed. Over the following months, Shackleton's crew fought just to survive and get home. One of Shackleton's biographers says that of all the difficulties they faced, starvation, frigid temperatures, the worst thing they faced was the darkness. Near the South Pole, the sun goes down in mid-May and doesn't come back up until late July. There's no daylight, there's no sunlight for more than 2 months. In all the world, say the biographers of polar explorers, there is no desolation more complete than the polar night. Only those who have experienced it can fully appreciate what it means to be without the sun day after day and week after week. Few unaccustomed to it, few that are unaccustomed to it can fight off its effects. And it has driven some men mad. In such deep darkness, listen to this, in such deep darkness you can't see forward, so you don't know where you're going. You have no direction in this deep darkness. You can't even see yourself. You don't know what you look like. You may as well have no identity. When we talk about people being lost, what are we talking about? We're talking about like these in darkness. Man, you can't see. You've lost your way. You've lost yourself. They said that was the worst suffering was the darkness. You can't tell whether there's anyone around you, friend or foe. You are isolated. No direction. Isolation. Now that's just physical darkness. And you talk about spiritual darkness. Then that's a whole another ball game. So you see why God so loved the world that He sent His Son what? He sent the light what? To get us out of that darkness. Isaiah says, to those who sat in darkness, they've seen a great light. I told you before, after my freshman year at Georgia, when I was just, living like hell and loving every minute of it, I sat out on the bank close there to Sanford Stadium one spring quarter, and man, I tell you, I've been sitting in darkness. And man, it was just torture. You ever sat in darkness? You ever just sat down in darkness? That's a bad place. So what did Jesus do? He came. Ye that walk in darkness and have no light, the Bible says, wait on the Lord. Now here's the deal. The other thing I got on is I was in a Bible study last night, and we were studying about the crucifixion. And one of the things that happened when Jesus was on the cross, from 12 noon our time to 3, darkness came upon the face of the earth. Now it could have been an eclipse because of the time of year, but there was darkness, and that darkness represented judgment. But I want you to think about this. Jesus dove right into the depth of darkness. All the darkness, every bit of it, the darkness of hell, he just plunged right into it, and we can come out of the darkness because he went into the darkness. He swallowed the darkness. The darkness swallowed him. But it couldn't hold him. Jesus is the darkness buster, if you will. Yeah. I tell you, I remember the night Coach Chapel, I went by and talked to him, Don. Been drinking like I always had, and man, I was still sitting in that darkness. Man, I've been sitting in it for 18 years. And he took me up. Some guys told me about Jesus. And man, all of a sudden, that darkness started turning into light. I've done a lot of bad things since then, made a lot of mistakes, but I'll tell you this. I ain't never sat back down in the darkness again. And I never will. Because he sat down there. He bore it. It fell upon him. He became what I was. He became the darkness. And the Bible says now, and it says we are light in the Lord. Hope you have a great summer. Let's go out and be light in a dark world.
Amen.
Go to the jail and you'll find people sitting in darkness. Go to the nursing home and you'll find people on their last leg sitting in darkness. Get out on the streets and you'll find kids sitting in darkness. Let's take the light to them. Let's be the light. Let your light so shine before men that others might see your good works and not sit in darkness. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for every word there is. Thank you that, Jesus, you are the Word made flesh. Thank you that you're greater than darkness. Thank you that you took on darkness and all of its darkness, and you defeated it. You can lift us out of the darkness. You can change us where we won't be the darkness. And I pray if anybody's here that's suffering, isolated, feeling the horror of personal and spiritual and psychological darkness, may they hear the gospel. Those who sit in darkness have seen a great light. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.